Alright, Justin and Cynthia are two of the most amazing people I know, and they're the best friends anybody could have. They have the most inspiring relationship, and very obviously bring out the best in each other.
Graham, you're doing so well.
Their marriage was to take place in Turks and Caicos, on a beautiful stretch of isolated beach, about 25 minutes from the resort that we were staying at. As one of only 6 guests, the chances were pretty good that I would be asked to participate in the wedding. Since Josh always hugs the glory spots, I had my hopes settled on maybe being Justin's groomsman. But then, last year, several beers into the Josh Good Band Company Christmas party, Cynthia asked me to be her maid of honor. I was beyond flattered. I mean, even though we live in times of morphing gender roles, this came as a complete surprise. I'd never dreamed that someone so wonderful would bestow upon me such an honor. It was very quickly decided that the bachelorette party facet of my job would be outsourced to Christina. After I tried to get a former male stripper friend of ours to help out with that. And I guess in my excitement I forgot that it's very important that strippers be hired from outside your circle of friends. So, January 2nd, 2010, the wedding day, was awesome. I woke up early and went scuba diving, paying special attention not to drown or get the bends, because I didn't want to put Cynthia through the trouble of having to replace me on 5 hours' notice.
Thank you.
I was having my breakfast pina colada, and my nerves started welling up. I mean, the pressure was getting unbearable. My feet were getting cold, my head was swimming with what-ifs, and I happened upon Cynthia, and when I told her I was freaking out, she calmly comforted me, and I thanked her and smiled. I was still nervous, but I didn't want to burden her anymore, because in some ways, this was her day too. Shortly before the wedding, our group had rendezvoused in Josh and Amanda's room, and Cynthia dropped a bomb on me. She looked at me with her soft brown eyes, blinked and smiled, and said, "Graham, as my maid of honor, what marital advice do you have for me?" My mind was completely blank, except for 2 things. First of all, I realized that I would have to draw from outside my experience to get advice to give to Cynthia. And second of all, I realized that Justin would never win even the smallest of spats, because no argument could possibly stand up to those eyes. So I bought myself some time and scurried off to scout out some advice. So I had 30 minutes to find a couple that oozed happiness, had successfully pulled off marital bliss, and would share with me their secrets. So I approached an older couple with gold-banded ring fingers, and I interrupted their conversation. I said, "Hi, my name is Graham, and I am the maid of honor at a wedding that's going down in half an hour. And I just learned that this entails giving the bride marital advice. Can you help me, please?" So I had just had the pleasure of meeting Molly and Richard, a delightful English couple, 20 years into a happy marriage. We exchanged pleasantries, and I was very thrilled to learn that Richard had in fact written a book about happiness. Bingo. So I sat down and listened. So Molly was talking, She said to me, her advice was that newlyweds not have children within the first 2 years of their marriage, so that they could have time to focus on themselves and redefine their identity as a married couple. She said that even if they'd been together for a long time, they still needed to, being married was a big adjustment and was best handled without the distraction of children. Richard then added that if each person focused on how much they love the other and not on how much the other loves them, then they'll be able to build a strong, strong marriage. I thanked them, absorbed their words, and dashed off to get ready. When we all met up to go begin our stroll down to the wedding site, everyone was aghast at how stunningly beautiful Justin and Cynthia both looked, especially Cynthia. I was handed a tropical leaf with some rings attached to it, which I kept cradled in my cupped palms, and we began to walk down the beach. That walk down the beach was surreal. It had just rained earlier, and everything was fresh. So the clouds were glowing soft pinks and grays, like they were watercolored. And just
like they were watercolor.
It was beautiful. You have to be there.
I know. Sorry. It was a beautiful visual. Yeah. It was really well painted, if you will.
Thank you.
That's why you're my
I worked on that one. So Justin and Cynthia were walking ahead, and Josh and I were walking behind, shortly behind them. Josh was snapping pictures, and I was focused on not losing the rings. Actually, Josh had the most pressure out of anyone, being the photographer. And Justin dropped back to give him photography instructions, which, as you can imagine, were very, very detailed and promised to be a painstakingly meticulous whole endeavor. So as soon as Justin launched into his lecture, I knew that I would have a moment to go talk to Cynthia. So I ran ahead and walked with her. For me, that conversation I had with Cynthia was the highlight of my trip. I explained to her that I recognize that I don't have the perspective to give her real wedding advice, so the best that I could offer was to find some, filter it through my sense of reasoning, and then just regurgitate what seemed to make sense. So to avoid a potentially awkward situation, I first had her verify that they weren't pregnant. And then I paraphrased what Molly and Richard had told me. But the atmosphere that afternoon was absolutely indescribable, and it was so beautiful out there. You know, tropical beach. It was absolutely gorgeous, and I'm very grateful for being able to be there and to be a part of it. And it was the most amazing experience. And Cynthia, thank you for the journey. It was so wonderful. And I'm going to stop talking now.